Deku receives a costume upgrade, and in doing so, he develops a brand new fighting style that, for a lack of better phrase, kicks ass. The hero training resumes in another awesome episode of My Hero Academia, an episode which focuses on the students developing their ultimate finishing moves. They're going to have to learn some brand new techniques if they're ever going to have any hopes of taking down some big bad villains. And it looks like a brand new arc is about to begin. It is worth noting that this episode has a brand new intro, which is all sorts of awesome. As someone who just watches the anime version of My Hero Academia, this intro gets me especially excited with the introduction of tons of new characters. Are they heroes? Are they villains? What's going to happen next in My Hero Academia? I cannot wait to see. But this episode right here was certainly pretty awesome. As I said, it mostly focuses on all of the students trying to develop their ultimate moves. And they're going to be taught by Midnight, Cementos, and Ectoplasm. Why? Because they can all utilize their quirks in a special way to train all of these students at once. Cementos creates platforms for the students to train on, Ectoplasm creates clones for the students to spar with, and Midnight just sort of stands around looking fine as hell. Again, one of the biggest strengths of My Hero Academia is how little by little it manages to build up some of its side characters, and while we don't get to see everyone going through some specific training, there are some really cool highlights here. I like the fact that Mina Ashido is actually learning to use her acid like a freaking spray gun. Basically, she is able to create a nozzle with her hands, and she can shoot her acid almost as if it's like a fire hose. Katsuki Bakugo is also developing a brand new way to utilize his explosive abilities. He can now quite literally transform these explosions into a massive beam, just by concentrating all of that power into one single point. And I'm not sure if this is actually what he's truly doing, but Mineta seems to be making anal beads. The point is, these young heroes are developing their brand new powers, and it's really fun to watch. I especially love that All Might actually manages to get involved as well. Even though he's not a big, super buffed out superhero anymore, he can still have a lot of really great sage advice. And the first person he goes to, of course, is Deku, telling him that he needs to stop acting like All Might. He needs to stop acting like him. He needs to develop his very own unique fighting style. Now, at first, this is something that Deku can't quite come to grips with. He doesn't know what he actually means by this, but his first thought is maybe he needs to upgrade his hero costume. He needs to make it so that when he actually punches people, it's not going to completely wreck his arms altogether. So Deku goes to see Power Loader, who specializes in creating hero costumes and upgrading them if necessary. And he's joined, of course, by Ida Onochako, because they're basically the three main characters of the series. But the best thing about all of this is that we get the return of Mei Hatsume. That's right, the big-boobed, banana-haired girl has returned, and she's just as crazy as ever and incredibly eager to help out her friends and to create brand new support hero items. So of course, chaos ensues with her desperately trying to try out all of these brand new things that she's created on Deku and his friends. There's everything from power suits that'll completely destroy your body to these weird jet propulsion devices that Ida wears on his arms which slam him into the ceiling. Basically, it just causes a lot of pain for our heroes, and it's really fun to watch. It's especially funny to watch Ochako squirm as she realizes that Mei keeps getting oh so closer to Deku, whether it means she glomps directly on top of him, or she sort of creepily checks every inch of his body, trying to figure out how she can perfect her babies. And while Mei Hatsume is frankly kind of insane, she's a really important character. She shows that you don't have to have super destructive superpowers to be a hero. And she's also proven how, passionate she is about creating these objects. In the small span of time that she's actually been here, she has created so many useful items for all of these heroes, especially for those who truly need that support. She might be a little crazy, a little outlandish, and maybe even like a female Doc Brown, but she's incredibly useful to these heroes, and she's also going to be instrumental in creating Deku's brand new costume, which is not so much a new costume as it is these braces for his arms and his legs. Now, why does Deku need these for the legs? That's because he's developed a brand new fighting style. After Katsuki Bakugo shows off his brand new ultimate move, a large chunk of rock is getting ready to fall on top of All Might, but Deku manages to save the day not by punching it, but by kicking it with his brand new fighting style, the full cowling shoot style. He realizes that if he can't use his arms, he's going to have to use his legs. And the way that he moves around and swings his body when he prepares these attacks is just so awesome looking. You know what? It makes sense. All Might has always just punched people. He's always just used his fists, rarely actually using his feet. Midoriya is now going to be able to incorporate these into his moves and create something that is uniquely his. And you know what? That's pretty freaking awesome. And the scene where he destroys that rock is hype as hell because everybody is just amazed at this moment. Everybody realizes that little by little, Deku is going to become the greatest hero of all time. So what's the rundown on this episode of My Hero Academia? I loved this episode so much. I really love the training sequences in this series as they don't drag out an episode entirely. Unlike a lot of other long-running shonen-style series, training arcs can be just that. An arc. Something that goes on for a very long period of time. My Hero Academia gets right to the freaking point. They focus on the things that they feel are important and they move ahead. The training in this episode also just happened to be a lot of fun. I'm glad they incorporated characters like Cementos and Ectoplasm into this. Ectoplasm in particular I think is one of the coolest looking heroes from the entire series, and he seems to have a lot of experience with him being able to teach these students and fight against them all at the same time. I also think it's really cool that All Might is still going to be integral to the training of these young students. I thought that once he lost his powers, that's it, he's done, he's just going to be in the background the entire time. But it looks like when he finally does get healthy again, he'll at least be able to beef himself up, but he's not really going to be able to fight or anything. So we're still going to be able to see a lot more of that traditional super hulked out version of All Might, which I think is really fun. But definitely one of the highlights of this episode is the return of Mei Hatsume, who's just as fun as she was in the last season, and I'm glad that she's going to be more important in the upcoming show here. I especially love how Deku has decided to not completely change his costume. He's doing a lot of it to actually honor his mother because she's the one who created this. He respects her so much and he doesn't want to change too much of the base look of it. And I've always really liked his costume. It's very simple, to the point, and I love the green color. But the brand new look of the arm braces and the leg braces are awesome. They have distinct designs to them, with the arm braces being white and the legs being black. It just is a very unique form for him, and I can't wait to see more of it in action. Now, of course, one of the coolest things about this episode for me is the new intro, if only for all of the new characters that they show off. It's just a whirlwind of new stuff, and I just cannot wait to see how this is all going to play out in a brand new arc, especially because we do get to see more of Deku actually utilizing his brand new arm and leg braces in the intro. They even sort of hint at that at the beginning with his big kick as they move into the big title of My Hero Academia, and then seeing it at the end of this episode was just so solid. This episode was fun, it was action-packed, it had tons of funny moments, little bit of fan service, and a really great ending showing off Deku's brand new fighting style, and I absolutely loved it. I'm giving this episode a 5 out of 5. Also, small other little thing I just want to mention. I love the soundtrack of this series. It's real subtle, but there are moments when it works. When Deku uses that shoot style at the end, and that music starts to kick in with the synthesizer, it almost sounds like something from a 1980s anime, but it truly works in this moment so much. I loved it. I love this episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. You can tell me all of them in the comment section below, and what you guys hope to see from the rest of My Hero Academia. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay down there, baby.